we build it as two kind of contrasting philosophies, didn't we? Sort of really, South Africa are really direct, really set piece orientated, kick pressure, and then Ireland doing what Ireland are doing best at the minute, which is ball movement to space and trying to beat that blitz. So really compelling battles all around the field. As it was, and as happens very often when you're playing the Springboks, as the Lions kind of showed a year ago, Ireland, I thought, got sucked into a bit of a kind of direct, it's certainly direct in phase play, but they, in those key battles and battles that they and Leinster have lost previously against robust, kind of hefty sides, I thought they did really well. It was a really big maul turnover, 58th minute, I think, with James Ryan coming to the fore, really big moment that kind of epitomised it all. And in 10 minutes after half-time, they scored those 2 tries, got lucky with 3 calls, maybe the scrum call and a forward pass and Sheen's kick through the ruck. Which
has anyone spoken about that publicly? I'm not sure.
Might have been a bit of fuss on social media.
Anyone
but I haven't
part
seen
of
it.
the Springboks management had a word about
I'm
that?
not sure. Let's move on.
Okay.
No, Razzie Erasmus has mentioned it. But
Someone. They clearly haven't come to terms with the fact that in every single game of professional rugby ever made, the referees made a mistake. That's news to them after last weekend, it seems.
Yeah, but Ireland prevailing, really interesting. It's up for debate how much these games matter in a World Cup context, because we've got a year to go, because the game isn't going to be in Dublin for loads of reasons. South Africa are hopefully going to have a place kicker on the field.
Was that the referee's fault as well?
I think so, yeah. But really interesting and really heartening, I think, that Ireland can be sharper with what they're doing in phase play. We've seen them be sharper, and yet they still manage to come through.
Should just talk about Cheslin Colby's selection at fullback. I found that quite interesting, because I thought the idea would be that there's a fairly accurate theory that South Africa are just so over-reliant on Willie Leroux in their attacking game because of what he does as another first receiver or second receiver option. And I sort of got excited about the idea of Colby doing that, because I was like, okay, you've got a player who's got a good passing game there who can probably fulfill a similar role. But he's also got outrageous pace and will be able to sort of catch, forwards flat-footed on an outside break and try and open up the Irish defence more, or any defence more. I just don't feel like we got that at all. It felt like tactically they were sort of thinking, right, you need to kick everything and sort of be that kind of fullback. It didn't seem very natural.
Played it to 10 for Toulouse, hasn't he, Colby? So you're right. In that 10 minutes I was talking about just after half-time, twice, Ireland resisted South Africa's phase play. South Africa didn't get any momentum. Colby went to first receiver and went to the air. It felt so jarring.
Yeah.
Felt so jarring because, as you say, I think South Africa's best second receiver on the day was Eben Etzebeth, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Sweeping around for that,
so nice.
Just ridiculous. And I tweeted at the time, but was watching it and just swore spontaneously, because having done everything that he'd done in that game, growing into the game as he does, Etzebeth, albeit on the losing side, to do that as well. What a freak.
You're always doing that, just randomly swearing. Very blue air at Twickenham yesterday. It was, lots of that. Let's move on to let's move on to Cardiff, where New Zealand were just great. I was really, really impressed with how they have, since Jason Ryan came in as the new forwards coach, replacing John Plumtree, which was sort of, looking back on it, John Plumtree and Brad Moore went out, didn't they? And Joe Schmidt and Jason Ryan came in, and Foster kept his job. And it was sort of like, okay, if you can't start winning like this with 2 new coaches, then you really are in big trouble. But the way their pack carried, and the precision of their carries, and the quick ball that they got, and the recycling speed at ruck time, I wish I'd looked it up before I started talking about this, because I should have done. They were just phenomenal. I was so impressed by it. And they just blew Wales away. Wales produced an astonishing number of tackles. I think Talupe Faletau had 28 and Justin Tipuric had 25. So between the two of them, you're looking at over 50 tackles, and they were brilliant. But it just didn't matter, because they would just recycle, and another whopping carrier would come in, whether it was Surveyor or Cody Taylor or Shannon Frizzell at blindside, and they were just absolutely flattened Wales. I haven't seen a beatdown like that in that sense in such a long time. It's really interesting.
They did everything that they didn't do against Japan. They were just direct, and it's been really interesting that has been kind of Schmidt's imprint on the side, just being that direct. I looked up a term, an NFL term, because I thought I'd get it wrong, and I really wanted to get it right. Smash mouth offense.
Nice.
Yeah. You're having that.
Get your big running backs and your fullbacks rumbling.
That's what Schmidt's doing. Really direct. Obviously, they've got the capacity to offload and play those little tips and shift the point of contact, which is what they do so well naturally. But having that bedrock, as you say, what a thing to go back to.
Not bad having a 6'5" guy inside centre now as well in Geordie Barrett, which almost makes you think, why didn't they try this before? Yeah. Because he's getting them over the gain line. You can still use him in those cross-kick situations like they did for his try where poor Rio Dyer was never going to... I think Rio Dyer's under 6 foot and Barrett's 6'5", and that mismatch in the air was just never going to work out. There was just so much like Adi Sevilla played out of his mind, as he has done for a lot of the year, and Charles, I know this is sacrilege, but he might be pushing Dupont quite hard.
No, I agree.
Player of the year,
especially if Dupont carries on like he did last week.
Yeah, I mean, he really was quite astonishing. Aaron Smith had a couple of tries. There was just a lot to like about this, and they didn't necessarily. Caleb Clark and Sever Reece on the wings for New Zealand didn't actually see like loads of ball because they didn't need to, because Wales were just suffering from wave after Route 1 ball carries, and it was really impressive.
It's an ingenious solution as well to get Moanga and the two Barretts, as in the two backs Barretts, in the same team as well.
Well, that's been the dilemma, hasn't it? Like, how do you sort of have Moanga and Barrett on the field, but also have Geordie on there for his like security under the high ball? But just have all three. Like, why not?
We're talking about deceptively big players. Dalton Papali'i is a big lad.
Yeah.
Brushed off Tipuric.
Very easy to spot now with that bleach blonde lid as well.
Slightly high tackle early on.
Oh, we'll let him off.
In the chops. Yeah. He was brilliant after that.
I think they'd have won with 13 players, to be honest, the way it was.
Yeah, and what does it say about Wales, though?
Unsure. This game against New Zealand has always been a problem for them, as we know. What's the year count now? Is it 63? It might be more than that. It might be 68 years.
Huge game coming up.
It's been a while since they beat New Zealand. And I thought what was interesting was that last year, in that Wales-New Zealand game, which was outside the test window, they got hammered as well. But it was sort of like, well, we didn't have full complement. This time, just absolutely blown off the park. I've seen a few comments saying they need more physicality. I know they would love to have Christ Chinzer as like a starting blindside ready to go for the World Cup, but time is a bit short, even though he's very good. Yeah, there's a lot of questions there. It wasn't pretty, despite really noble efforts from Faletau, from Tipuric, and from Nick Tompkins, as we said earlier. I thought he was really good. Let's go to Scotland, where there has been sort of breaking news. I wish we had sort of a breaking news klaxon at this point, but I'm not sure we do, because Finn Russell has been called up by Scotland. Finn Russell, who hasn't been involved in the squad for the last two games, he couldn't be for the first week anyway, could he?
No.
Before I make an error there.
No, he couldn't.
Finn Russell is in the squad. He's replaced Adam Hastings, who, I shouldn't laugh, got absolutely clobbered by the Fijian second row on his debut, Ratu Ratui Solia. Wow, nailed it first time. Who just had an incredible debut because he was yellow carded about 80 seconds into the game, came back on and he scored a try, and then had this astonishing tackle on Hastings, which basically, it was perfectly legal. Hastings was just out of the game after that.
It's bad where the news coverage after the game is saying that Hastings has suffered whiplash.
Yeah,
I think that says it all.
That's fairly rare.
I mean, that's a car crash, isn't it?
We don't get that very often. It was just a very, very interesting debut for the Fiji lot. But hey, Finn is back, and there's been so much talk about whether it can sort of work with Finn fitting into what they have planned, Scotland. What do you think? Good? Exciting?
Always exciting. I mean, we're the winners, aren't we? We get to watch it because he's just box office, and how he goes about. We spoke earlier on with Ireland about challenging that. That is the pinch point, I think, in Test rugby, is how much variety you have off 9 and narrow, and how well you beat that blitz on the 13 and get your back three away into the 15-metre channels. Finn Russell's peerless at doing that, whether it's kick passing, whether it's fizzing the ball from second receiver or first receiver. He's fantastic. Can't wait to watch him again.